TitleMatchNetwork.com.
How did you make contact with WWF? Did they contact you, or did you contact them?
World Class was dead. Jarrett, the USWA was virtually dead, and they were pulling out and we'll go back to Tennessee. And the territory was dead. And I had my car repossessed. The only work I had was Chris Adams was running some little shows on his own here and there, and he always made sure that I was on all his shows. But I had 2 little kids and a wife, and we were hurting pretty bad. So I made up my mind that we were going to move back to home. When I say home is Mobile, Alabama. And we were going to move back home, and I was going to get out of the business and go back to the funeral business full time. And so I called Rick. Rick Rude was working for Vince. And I called Rick and told him what my plans were. And he goes, "Oh, no, Percy, don't do that. Just hang on. Just don't make any rash decisions, and I'll get back with you." So later, it was the same day. Several hours later, the same day, he called back and said, "You got a pencil?" "Yeah." "Write this number down." So I wrote her number down. And I said, "What is this?" He goes, "This is Vince McMahon's home number. He wants you to call him." And I hung up the phone. I look at my wife. She goes, "What's wrong with you? You're white." "This is Vince McMahon's home number. I'm supposed to call him." So I did, "Mr. McMahon, hello." "Oh, fuck. Scared the shit out of me. Mr. McMahon, this is Percy." I remember the first words he ever said to me, goes, "Where have you been all my life?" Pulley. He knew where I was, right in Dallas, Texas. He knew what was going on there. And he says, "Well, I'm interested in talking to you." And a nice, cordial conversation. And it was right before Christmas. And this stands out in my mind because my wife and I's anniversary is December 22nd. So it's right at Christmas time. And this was on like December, maybe the 20th. And
what year was that, 89?
90. December the 20th. See, Undertaker debuted in November 90 at Survivor Series.
Yeah, he was in WCW in 90 with me and Mark. I remember that.
So it was December the 21st, no, December 20th, 1990, this conversation happened. He said, "Well, after the holidays, I think we'll just fly you up to Stanford and we'll talk, and maybe we can work something out." "Yes, sir," and we hung up. The next day, the phone rings, Pat Patterson. "Vince changed his mind. He wants to know if you can come up today." And this is December 21st. And, "Yeah, hell yeah, what am I going to say? No?" He says, "Well, we got your tickets at DFW. They're paid for. You and come on down." And I flew into, it's so ironic, I flew into JFK today to do this interview here this evening. And I remember flying into JFK that night in 1990. And I felt like the Beverly Hillbillies, arriving in California for the first time. It was like, I got off the plane, there's a guy there in a suit with my name on a card, a limousine waiting for me and shit. And I piled my ass in that limousine. New York City! It was, and off to Stanford we went, the first class hotel in Stanford. And Pat Patterson calls, says, "Percy, sign for anything you want to drink, anything you want to eat, whatever you want, you just fucking sign it. It's all in courtesy, Vince will meet with you in the morning." So that I did. And Pat picked me up the next morning, which would have been the morning of December 22nd.
Did you know Pat before this or no?
No, I didn't. I'm just, oh my God, Pat Patterson. Jesus Christ. So,
what are some of your memories of World Class and managing Rick Rude? I got a list of names from the territory I'm going to ask you about. Let's start off with Rick Rude.
Rick. Wow. First of all, I can't believe he's dead. We were so close. Starting, I remember the first time that we worked together in Florida, and we shared an apartment. After we moved to Dallas, my wife and my son, I didn't want to move him out there yet because I didn't want to, he was in school. I didn't want to pull him out of school and move, so I waited until school was over. So Rick and I shared an apartment in Dallas for several months, and we were always everywhere together. He was just a great guy, and all the guys from Minnesota are all alike. Like Kurt Hennig, Rick Rude, and the Road Warriors, and they all cut from that same mold. And now look at the ones that are gone. It's those guys that are gone. And it just blows my mind. This is where I get really emotional now when I start talking about those guys. What a fantastic talent Rick Rude was. Tremendous mind for the business, tremendous promo guy. And it was hard for him, when you're a manager for somebody that can talk, for him to stand back and let me talk for him. That's saying something. And one of my favorite pictures of Rick Rude and myself, I have hanging on my office at home, is in Texas Stadium, when we used to have the Texas Stadium, the Von Erich memorials that we would have every year. One particular year, Rick Rude worked with Bruiser Brody when they made the world-class title, the world title back then. And there's a picture of us standing in the middle of the ring in Texas Stadium, and it was just people everywhere. And I'm standing in the middle of the ring. I had on a pink jacket and my cane and everything, and standing behind me is Rick Rude applauding me. And that's one of my favorite pictures. And I can't say too much about Rick. This is a great guy and a great family man. And I miss him dearly. I really do. And I'll never forget the day that Rick Rude and myself pulled up in the parking lot of that building for the first time. If you've ever been to the Sportatorium or seen pictures of it, I can remember vividly. It's like a video running in my brain. Rick Rude and I pulled up the parking lot, and we stopped, and we looked at each other and go, "This is a Sportatorium." I mean, it's just an old tin building, with a rock parking lot, and just in the worst part of town. And we got in there, and it was payday. All the boys would come in and get their checks. So when we got there, a lot of the boys were there, and the Von Erich boys were there. And Rick Rude was a national arm wrestling champion. Some people didn't know that. And as soon as we got there, the first thing that the Von Erich boys wanted to do was arm wrestle Rick Rude. So I said, here we are. We just walked into the place. Now, is Rick Rude going to put them Von Erich boys over or not? He beat them all. He beat Kevin. He beat Kerry. Rick was tough. Rick used to like to fight, and which eventually led to our separation. After the shows, we'd go out to a club or something, have some cocktails, and he fought every night. Not in the ring, in the bars. He liked to fight. And he had a girlfriend, and he would take his girlfriend and send her down by the bar, and he'd stand against the wall away from her and stand there with a beer and just watch and just wait for somebody to come and say something to her, hit on her or something. She could go whoop their ass.
Wow.
He liked to fight. And it just was, I thought it was fun. At first it was fun, but then it just went on and on and on. And it got old. And then Rick had the opportunity, I'm really jumping ahead here because we're covering a few years there. Rick got the call from WCW, and I remember him asking me, "Percy, you want to go with me?" And that was a big decision there. And at that time, I was I wasn't tired of Rick. I was just tired of the gimmick, and so, I didn't, my kids are in school, and I made up some excuses, and long story short, Rick went on to WCW, and I stayed on in World Class for a few more years there. But we still skipped over a lot of stuff, and I'm sure you got it on your sheet.
Oh, yeah. I guess that's when he went up with Manny, I think, right?
Right,
Okay.
yeah.
TitleMatchNetwork.com